So you're thinking about jumping into a career in real estate. That's awesome. It's an exciting path, for sure. But figuring out where to even start can feel like a huge challenge. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and give you a really clear blueprint for your journey into the world of real estate. You know that feeling when you first crack open a real estate textbook? It can be a lot. You're staring at hundreds of pages, tons of laws, and a whole bunch of terminology you've never seen before. It's kind of like being handed a dictionary for a language you don't speak. Yet. But imagine if you could see the entire landscape before taking that first step. That's exactly what we're going to do here. We're turning that mountain of information into a clear, simple roadmap that'll guide you from the very beginning to the end. Okay, so here's our blueprint. First up, we'll lay the foundations of the profession. Then we're going to dive into understanding land and property. After that, we'll get into the super important rules of the game. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the keys to success. All right, first things first. Every great building starts with a solid foundation, right? Well, real estate is no different. Before you can start advising clients or closing deals, you really have to understand the industry itself. So let's build that base. So what do we mean by foundations? Well, it starts with getting your head around what a career in real estate actually is and all the different opportunities out there. Then you need to know about the key organizations that kind of run the show. And of course, you've got to learn the lingo, the core terminology. This is basically the who, what, and where of your new profession. Okay, with our foundation firmly in place, let's move on to the heart of every single real estate transaction, the property. I mean, think about it. You can't sell a product you don't understand inside and out. You know, owning property is so much more than just dirt and buildings. It's a legal concept, often called the bundle of rights. This bundle defines everything an owner can do with their property, and just as importantly, what they can't do. Getting this is absolutely fundamental. So how does this sort of abstract idea of ownership become a concrete legal reality? It's really a three-step process. First, you have to understand those ownership rights. Second, you create a super precise legal description of the land. And third, you make it official by recording it through the land registration system. That's what turns a concept into a legally binding fact. Now we get to what might just be the most critical part of your education, the rules. Real estate is a heavily regulated industry, and for a very good reason, to protect the public. This part is all about learning how to operate both legally and ethically. And let me be clear, this is not a field where you can just wing it. Professionalism and following the rules are completely non-negotiable. Your entire reputation and your license to practice depends on knowing that rulebook. And wow, this is really just a small sample of how massive that rulebook is. You've got REBA, which is the main act for agents. You've got contract law, which is the basis for every deal. Then there are strict financial rules like FinTrack to stop money laundering. And that's before we even get to laws about competition, condos, or environmental stuff. You've just got to master these. So you might be looking at all this and thinking, why so complicated? Well, it comes down to one simple truth. These rules aren't just about keeping you out of trouble. They're about your duty to protect your clients, to protect your brokerage, and to build a long-lasting career that's built on trust. Okay, so we've laid the foundation, we've examined the product, we've reviewed the rulebook. Now it's time to put it all together and figure out the keys to success, starting with how to pass that all-important licensing exam. So what does it really take to succeed? Well, the study guide actually boils it down to 10 key tips. And these aren't just little study hacks. They cover the whole shebang, from how to manage your time during the exam to strategies for those really tricky questions. Think of it as your final checklist. But ultimately, when you boil it all down, success in this field comes down to one word: preparation. It's not about luck. It's about putting in the work. It's about mastering those foundations, really understanding the product, and knowing the rules so well they just become second nature. That is the real key to success. So there it is. That's the blueprint. From the ground up, you now have the roadmap to the core concepts you absolutely need to master. The only question left is, are you ready to start building?